I'm Jeffersonian. This video will describe the basic operation of the Ruger 2245 semi-automatic pistol. Much of these instructions should also apply to the other Ruger 22 pistols of similar design. I will attempt to describe the differences between the various marks of Ruger pistol. This will only be a brief overview. Serious Ruger collectors can correct or expand on this in comments. Sturm Ruger & Company's very first product in 1949 was their Standard 22 pistol, the ancestor of this. The Mark I pistol was introduced in 1950 with a longer barrel and target sights. These original versions were manufactured until 1981. The Mark II replaced these models in 1982, offering more options in sights, barrel lengths, and styles, including stainless steel. The most significant changes for the Mark II were the addition of a bolt lock and scallops cut in the upper receiver to ease grasping of the bolt handle, as seen here on this 2245. In 1992, the 2245 was introduced, which is the same design, but with a grip and controls designed to closely simulate John Browning's Colt 45 of 1911, which was the first video in this series. In 2004, the Mark III version was introduced, which transitioned to a Browning-type magazine release button behind the trigger guard for all versions. The Mark III also has a magazine disconnect, preventing the weapon from firing if the magazine is removed, and a loaded chamber indicator. There is also a built-in lock, and the upper receiver of the Mark III is drilled and tapped for optics mounts. There is also a Mark III version of the 2245. The Mark IV pistol was introduced in 2016. The most significant change is a one-button takedown system to simplify disassembly for cleaning and maintenance. This 2245 specimen is from 1992, the first year of production. It has a 5.5-inch barrel of stainless steel, matching upper receiver, and a polymer frame with target sights. Let's begin as usual by identifying the major features and controls. The grip frame. Original versions are all polymer with integrally molded grips. Later versions use replaceable grips, so you can customize the 2245 to feel like your real 45. The trigger. I expect most of these to be the wide grooved target type like this one. The safety. Like the 1911, up is safe and down is fire. This feature should be standard across all versions of the Ruger 22 pistol family. The safety cannot be engaged unless the internal hammer is cocked. Several gunsmiths offer custom services for the 2245 to dress them up for action competition, including extended 1911 style controls. The bolt lock. The Mark II and later versions lock open automatically on an empty magazine, just like a 1911. The magazine release. Again, this is like the 1911 and many other modern centerfire pistols. Standard versions before the Mark III use a heel-type magazine release on the bottom rear of the grip. The magazine well. This 1992 model came with two magazines of slightly different appearance, both of which drop free if you get your hand out of the way. The magazine. Standard capacity is 10 rounds. Aftermarket kits can be installed to increase capacity to 11 or 12 rounds. This button on the side is a built-in loading aid. The magazine can be disassembled by pressing on this plunger and sliding the base plate off, and this button can be reversed for whichever side suits the user's preference, but the automatic bolt lock feature only works if the button is on the left side of the magazine. When buying spare magazines, take care to get the correct ones for your mark and style of pistol. 2245 magazines will not interchange with the standard models. There may or may not be compatibility between the other marks of standard models. Research thoroughly before purchase. The takedown lever. I'll be getting to that in a separate video later. Reassembly of the Ruger 22 pistols is infamously difficult, but I think I have it figured out, and I'll show it to you as soon as I have the time and energy to do so. The upper receiver. On this design, this is the serial numbered component, hiding under the electrical tape, and therefore defined as the firearm under American law. The barrel. This is effectively integral to the upper receiver. The ejection port, and within it, the bolt. The bolt handles are here at the rear of the upper receiver and are the same piece as the bolt. The front sight. This is an undercut target sight. If desired, for optics mounting for example, it can be removed with this screw and a small set screw used to fill the spot. The rear sight. This is fully adjustable for windage and elevation to match the target front sight. Also, if desired for optics mounting or the like, this can be drifted out of its dovetail to be removed. Later marks, as mentioned, are drilled and tapped for optics mounting on top of the receiver. This first-year production of the 2245 is not. However, earlier marks of the Ruger pistol family, without the drilling and tapping, can still mount a scope using a mount which clamps onto the upper receiver. There are at least two different versions of that. I have also seen a type that replaces the standard grip panel, and which this doesn't have, and lifts up and overhangs the receiver to mount a Weaver or Picatinny rail for optics or electronic sight mounting. Now let's see how to unload and make safe a weapon of this type. This is a plastic wall anchor for drywall, and it happens to be just the right size for use as a 22 long rifle rimfire dummy round. I forget what number it is. Take a spent case to your local hardware store and look around. First, as with any firearm which uses a detachable magazine, remove the magazine. On the original Mark I and Mark II pistols, the magazine catch is a heel type here at the bottom rear of the grip. On the 2245, Mark III, and later models, it is a button here, Browning type, where the trigger guard meets the frame. On the earlier heel type catches, you will have to hold the catch and pull the magazine out. On the push button, on at least the 2245, the magazine should drop free. With the magazine removed, now pull back on the bolt to extract and eject any round which may be in the chamber. The extractor doesn't work perfectly with that plastic thing. Close enough. The bolt can be cycled whether the manual safety is on or off, but the safety can only be switched on if the internal hammer is cocked. If the hammer is not cocked, it is unlikely there will be a live round in the chamber. Other firearms, like the Ruger 1022 carbine, introduced in 1964, or the Browning Auto 5 and Remington Model 11 shotguns, introduced in the early 1900s, allow the user to draw the bolt back to a certain point, then press the trigger to release the sear, catching the hammer on the back of the bolt, then easing the bolt forward and the hammer down behind it. This 1992 2245 does not allow this, and I also have confirmation that a Mark I, produced in 1974, is the same, not allowing the hammer to fall unless the bolt is fully closed. The Mark II, 2245, and later models can be manually locked open by pushing up on the bolt lock while holding the bolt to the rear. The 2245 will not automatically release the bolt lock by pulling back on the bolt. The bolt lock must be deliberately pushed down to release the bolt. For range safety, insert an open bolt indicator. For storage, after ensuring all ammunition has been removed from the weapon, remove the flag, restrain the bolt, push down on the bolt lock, and ease the bolt forward. The weapon can then be stored. If desired, the hammer can be dropped. I recently posted a video Basic Firearms Tutorial number 3A, explaining why the Ruger 1022 carbine is safe to dry fire, because the bolt is designed such that the firing pin will not protrude past the bolt face and therefore cannot strike the breech face. The Ruger 22 pistol family uses the same design concept. It is safe to dry fire the 22 pistol without battering the breech face or the firing pin. Now let's see how to load and fire a weapon of this type. Using the loading button, the magazine follower is retracted and cartridges are inserted into these cutouts in the middle of the top. Note how the feed lips only go up from the rear to that point. Again, standard capacity is 10 rounds. Those were stray range pickup rounds, which I keep around for such purposes. Now there is no live ammunition present. This wall anchor will, under most conditions, feed. I don't have any A-zooms for 22 rimfire yet. The loaded magazine is then inserted into the magazine well until it catches. You can see, hear, and feel when the catch engages. To chamber the first round, grasp the bolt handles, pull rearward as far as they will go, and release. This will strip the first cartridge from the magazine and guide it into the firing chamber. To fire, aim, release the manual safety, and press the trigger in the usual way. The Ruger 22 pistol uses normal semi-automatic operation, meaning it will fire one shot each time the trigger is operated, automatically extracting and ejecting the spent case, stripping the next from the magazine, and guiding it into the firing chamber. Firing can continue in this way until all ammunition is spent, at which point the bolt will lock back on an empty magazine for the 2245 Mark II and later models. The original Standard and Mark I will not lock open. Fortunately, the entire family is safe to dry fire, so if you run empty and press the trigger that 11th time, it won't hurt anything. To reload, press the magazine release button. The magazine will fall free on the 2245. Replace the magazine with a loaded one, which I don't, and press the bolt lock button to release the bolt. It's very stiff on an empty magazine. With a dummy cartridge or live round, it releases much easier. Firing may then be resumed. This should conclude the basic operation of the Ruger 2245 and related 22 caliber semi-automatic pistols. For 69 years and counting, this family of pistols has been very popular for target shooting, small game hunting, recreation, training, and even action competition. The Mark IV is in current production, and a pistol in this family may plausibly be encountered anywhere in the world. Everyone should know how to use one in case of emergency. That is the purpose of this video and this series of basic firearm tutorial videos. I do intend to do a basic firearms disassembly video on this model. In fact, I'll start recording that at this time. I'll have to edit it later. I will go at least as far as basic field stripping for cleaning, and most importantly, the reassembly, which I'm pretty sure I have figured out. I hope to have that video online not too long after this one. So subscribe to my channel and turn on YouTube notifications by clicking that bell so you don't miss it. If you have any questions, please leave them in comments, and if you found this video useful, please consider a charitable donation through my website's PayPal button. Thank you.